All right, kindergarten. Here is our actual picture that we made. You just watched the video of some magic tricks with the oil pastels and watercolor paint with the yellow and orange. You don't have to watch this entire video. I want to give you a couple of little tidbits of advice. Number one, I mentioned this in the other video. We want to start by painting our light colors first. So our light colors are going to be, for me, the yellow on the moon, the yellow in the eyes and mouth, because we're imagining that there's a candle and they're lighting it up, just like on Halloween. And then we can move to our next darker color, which is going to be green. And our last color that I'm going to use is going to be purple for our sky. So I'm going to get started. Just a quick reminder, even though you just watched it, we're always going to paint in this order, or use our paintbrush, in this order. Water, paint, paper. Water, paint, paper. On these smaller areas, you're not going to see it as much, okay? But in our larger areas, it's really going to come in handy to always load your paintbrush up with more water and more paint, okay? Watercolor paints are meant to be light and bright. We don't really want them to be too dark. Sometimes we can run the risk of adding way too much paint to our paintbrush because our paints, the little palettes, the individual colors can get gummy. They get very, very soft. They get very, very sticky. And it is very easy for me, I don't know why, but it's very easy for me with the color blue to get a very dark color. Okay, so here we go. Being very careful to add our orange around our yellow. And look, our little magic trick with the oil pastel is working. Sometimes I like to just kind of go around the edge of something to give myself a border, just like I showed you in our coloring picture, okay? Remember to hold your paintbrush on that metal part. If you have a metal part, sometimes paintbrushes, like I said before, have that rubber grip. Sorry. Sometimes painting and talking is tricky for me. I have to concentrate very, very hard when I paint. So something that you should be noticing, if you're just checking in, if you hit pause and you're just checking in, I'm trying to work from the top to the bottom of my painting. And the reason is I always want to have like clean paper underneath me, just like when we traced this. When we traced this picture last week, we wanted to have clean paper directly underneath us. So we started by tracing our moon, and then we traced our ghost, and then we traced parts of the pumpkin, but not all of it, and then we did the grass, and then we finished up the bottom of our pumpkin. Look at this. Look at this pumpkin. This looks great. This looks great. It's kind of hard to see with the reflection from this light over here, but yeah, this is, boom. Oh, there it goes. Now our whole pumpkin is painted. We have to really give our paintbrush a bath, really rinse it off. If your water is dirty like mine, you can take the time to go pour it out in the sink and fill it up with some clean water. Okay. I'm going to try and do this all with one. Remember, I'm trying to progress from a light colors to dark colors. Okay, so if you're just checking in, I've painted my moon, the mouth, the eyes, the nose, and now the pumpkin. I've got the stem down. Okay, now I'm going to go paint that grass. One of the beauties of using watercolor paints is that it's very easy to make sure that we have no white spots. It flows so nicely because you're using a bunch of water, and you could work in circular motions. You could paint back and forth. What we don't want to do what we don't want to do is press very hard with our paintbrush. That's going to make the bristles, the hairy part, fan out. And it's going to hurt our paintbrush. And it's going to hurt our paintbrush in a funny way, because once those bristles become fanned out and kind of pushed apart, it's going to be hard to get them back together again. So when we go to paint smaller areas, it might be a little bit difficult for us. Okay, so there we go. Now, the bottom portion of our picture is painted. We are done. Done, done, done. We are finished. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to move my water cup out of the way. I'm going to move my paint set out of the way just a little bit. With two hands, I'm going to gently pick up. I'm not picking it up all the way. I'm just kind of lifting it up a little bit and sliding it around. So now, when I go to paint my sky purple, I'm not going to run the risk of dripping on that green grass or most of my pumpkin. Okay? I've seen so many times over the years teaching kindergartners how to paint that sometimes if we skip this part and we just have our pumpkin facing the right way or whatever we're painting, we might drip into an area that we don't want. We don't want to. So turning our paper so it's facing us the right way is kind of an easy little trick that we can do to keep our project nice and neat. So I'm going to start back up here as far away from me as possible towards this horizon line. This is going to be a very dark purple, but I'm going to spread it out. My purple ends up being very, very dark until I add some water to it, until I thin it out a little bit, because that's what we're doing. We're really just thinning out our paint. Look at that. Oop. I'm going to add some more water to my paintbrush. Add a little bit more purple paint. Notice that I'm not scooping. When I go to add more paint to my paintbrush, I'm not scooping the paint out. I'm just like a little dab. Okay, the water and the bristles are going to pull out your paint. Okay, they're not. You don't need to try and get out a lot. It's not like with a coloring pencil. Sometimes with coloring pencils, you need to push a little harder. Sometimes with crayons, you need to push a little harder. Okay, with this, the paintbrush and the water, they do most of the work for you. Okay, it's like using a brand new marker. Brand new markers work really, really well. Old markers, they tend to need a little bit more help. Okay. So here I am, I'm moving this way. I'm trying to spread this out a little bit. And what's also cool about a sky like this is that we will get all these variations in our colors. That means we're not going to get just a flat purple sky. We might, but we have a good chance of getting all sorts of different purples in there. Light purple, dark purple, medium purple. And this way, it can look a little bit different. It can look more interesting, visually interesting, than if we just had a flat piece of purple paper. Later on this year, we are going to have the opportunity to create our own paper by getting a huge sheet of white drawing paper and mixing colors together. So we'll mix like a yellow and a blue, which will create a green piece of paper. And it will look very, very cool because it's not going to be just a green piece of paper. It'll have some yellow still in it. It'll have some dark greens in it. It'll have some light greens in it. Okay. Just going to finish this up by trying to get into some of these smaller spots that I missed. So if you're just checking in, this is the end of our video. And now, put the paintbrush back, let it take a bath. Here we go. Look at that. Now we have this wonderful, semi-spooky, not so really, but fun jack-o'-lantern painting. Okay, now, if you're looking at my moon, oh no, moon. We did such a good job drawing that face on there. Don't worry. When this dries, and we're going to let this sit for a little bit. We're going to let this sit for a little bit, and as this yellow dries, that face will come back. Remember, we skipped the ghosts because we wanted them to look like those classic ghosts from, I don't know, Casper. My kids wanted to watch, my son Finnegan, who's in kindergarten, he wanted to watch Casper the Friendly Ghost, the cartoon. So we put that on last night. He's getting into that Halloween spirit. So we want to leave them white. If you want to paint them a different color, awesome. Remember, if you added other things to your picture, great. Paint it up. I can't wait to see how these turned out. I hope that you had fun painting with me. I wish that we could have been here in person, but we're making the best of our situation. Send me your finished projects. I can't wait to see them. Have fun. Bye.